you ever met Ron DeSantis or talked to him?
No.
What would you say to him?
You know, stop being a bully. Stop belittling people that look differently, act differently, love differently. Who the hell are you? Stop. Stop threatening people. Stop being so coercive. It's not power over. Power, dominance, aggressive, fear-mongering. We lived this with the Briggs Initiative in the 1970s. We've lived this in California with Prop 187. Look what Abbott is doing. Abbott's talking about eliminating a fundamental right for people, regardless of their immigration status, to get an education. We were debating that in the 1990s. Watch that space. Watch that space. That was the Doe decision. They're going to come after that next. This is a real moment for diverse communities. And it's not just, again, DeSantis, it's Abbott, it's Kentucky, it's South Dakota. You go down the list, these red states, there's a ruthlessness.
This is Gavin Newsom speaking with Fox LA reporter Alex Michelson, who, by the way, is the go-to source for all things Newsom in California, so give Alex a follow. And Newsom here is continuing his takedown of red state governors like Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott, who've risen to prominence by doing what all Republicans do when they want attention. They attack the vulnerable. For example, most recently, DeSantis passed the Don't Say Gay law, using intentionally vague language to forbid teachers from acknowledging the existence of LGBT Americans. And just a couple of things on that bill. Critics claim that it's teaching little kids about sex while they're too young. Sex education is already banned in Florida until 5th grade, meaning that this bill had nothing to do with protecting young students from discussions on sex and has everything to do with pretending gay people don't exist. And second, critics say that the law is only intended for kids in grades K through 3, but that's not at all what the law actually says. In reality, it says, quote, classroom instruction by school personnel or third parties on sexual orientation or gender identity may not occur in kindergarten through grade 3 or in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate. In other words, completely and intentionally vague so that it encompasses all grades, not just K through 3. The point is a chilling effect intended to stop people from acknowledging that gay people exist. That is the legislation that Ron DeSantis is known for. That's DeSantis' priority in Florida, making life hell for the most vulnerable among us. And before you say, well, California politicians are just as bad, let's take a look at one of the very latest pieces of legislation advanced by Newsom and California Democrats.
On my first day in office, I signed an executive order to put California on the path towards creating our own prescription drugs. And now it's happening. California is going to make its own insulin. Nothing epitomizes market failures more than the cost of insulin. Many Americans experience out-of-pocket costs anywhere from $300 to $500 per month for this life-saving drug. California is now taking matters into our own hands. The budget I just signed sets aside $100 million so that we can contract to make our own insulin at a cheaper price, close to at cost, and to make it available to all. $50 million will go towards the development of low-cost insulin products, and an additional $50 million will go towards a California-based insulin manufacturing facility that will provide new, high-paying jobs and a stronger supply chain for the drug. Because in California, we know people should not go into debt to receive life-saving medication.
So you can have a government that targets LGBT Americans to ensure that their existence is never acknowledged, or you can have a government that moves to use its budget surplus to manufacture insulin nearly at cost. Take all the time you need with that one. Here's the simple truth. The reason that Republicans rely solely on attacking the vulnerable is because it's their only strategy to train your attention away from their wholly unpopular platform. So if they can convince you that a gay teacher is grooming your poor unsuspecting child, a notion that is so aggressively misguided, then they're hoping that that'll distract you from the fact that what they are fighting for is a complete ban on abortion, even in cases of rape or incest. They're fighting for more weapons to flood the streets, even as shootings surge across this country. They're fighting to strip Americans of voting rights and to be able to undermine elections because they can't accept the fact that they lose. They're fighting to take away your health care. They're fighting to eliminate Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. They're fighting to cut taxes for millionaires and billionaires. They're fighting to protect oil companies and to deny the effects of climate change. Quite literally, no part of that agenda is even mildly popular with the majority of Americans. And so they need to vilify someone to ensure that you're distracted. They don't care whose life they have to destroy in their own desperate pursuit of power. So good on Newsom for calling him out, and hopefully more and more Democrats recognize that these are fights that we should not only take on, but win. We are on the right side of these issues, so the last thing we should be doing is waving a white flag, or just as bad, seeking compromise with a party of extremists. Our elected officials on the left should see these attacks on civil rights, on humanity, on democracy, and recognize that the only move here is to fight and win. To see more videos like this, click the subscribe button right here on this screen. And to support my work beyond that, check out my podcast, No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen, where I cover the week's most important stories and interview the biggest players in the world of politics, including President Biden, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, Elizabeth Warren, Katie Porter, and so many more. The link is also right here on this screen. And finally, to take action yourself and sign petitions on the most important issues, go to briantylercohen.com/petition.